Okay, we are preparing to go live. And I'll try to see if I can see us live.
I think it is. I got a notification on my phone.
Okay, good. Very good. So now I'll stop looking at the, should I look at the chat? You know, I don't know if we ever are going to
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to look at the chat right now because I'm just trying to see if I can get something to go with OBS, but maybe I'll take a look at it later.
Okay.
Because I decided I want to try something, like just to see if it works this time, but your painting's looking real interesting. You're doing a miniature?
Yes, this meeting is being live streamed, so yeah, I got it. And yes, I'm not very good at miniature painting because it's a question of hand-eye coordination, but I ran out of big canvases, so I have these smaller ones, and I'm going to give it a try, okay?
I think it sounds great.
Also, I'm almost running out of paint, so it's better to do a miniature if you don't have a lot of paint.
So do you go to Walmart to buy it, or do you like buy it online? Like, do you have it delivered? Like, how do you do it?
I usually go to Walmart, but I've been going to Walmart only once every 2 weeks. I'm trying to avoid COVID. And when I go, I just buy the essentials. So actually, I do have a lot of stockpiled food like rice and beans and stuff like that. But and I have a lot of frozen chickens. But if you look at my refrigerator, it doesn't look like I have a lot of food because I am not shopping for pleasure. I'm just shopping for essentials.
Well, I used to shop a little bit more for pleasure, but my refrigerator has become more scant as of late, and people are like, why? And I'm like, well, I don't see the point. Like, if it's just me, I'm not gonna go buy like all these different things just because I don't know, like, what would I do with it?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I do have my animals and I do feed them and I do buy feed for them. So I push one of those smaller carts usually. And I get it full. The bottom part of the smaller cart is all for animals. And
Oh, wow. So yeah, that's a big part of what you're doing for sure.
Yeah, and the top part is for me and Bo.
See, I think that's a good system though, because it seems like you have a system. You go every 2 weeks. But yeah, anyway, what is your thing that you're going to be painting today? Like, what are you focusing on?
I'm looking at 3 pictures. I mean, actually, I'm looking at 2 pictures. One is of my parents at their wedding. One is of me during Halloween when I was 6 in the United States. And what I'm doing is I don't know how it's going to go with the miniatures. So I might just work on one miniature the whole time, but I have 3 of them. So I might do 3 smaller paintings. I don't know.
That's cool.
I'm not very good at smaller things. So we'll just see how that goes.
You know, my favorite size though, I would say is like I like the ones that are like 8 to 12 inch. I just like that medium size. I really like that size for some reason.
Yeah, I understand. It's just that I stockpiled a bunch of canvases and then I didn't realize that all my art supplies got used up. You know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Hey, you know, like I just bought a little bit of paint when I did the shamrock painting. And now I'm like looking through old paint, but here's the problem. I probably shouldn't have even bought all that old paint because it dries out and then you have to buy new paint and it feels like a waste of money basically.
Yeah, now I'm gonna probably lower the camera that shows me because I'm sitting down. I'm gonna do this. And let's see if we can see me. Do you think this is okay?
This looks good. I like it because I can see the angle really well on the painting.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I'll just probably take off my glasses and I won't be able to see you very well for a
That's
while
okay. Don't worry.
because
You're
when I
lucky you can see up close because I feel like I used to have good nearsightedness, but not to where I don't really think I see up close very well. Ooh, this paint is really dry. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if it was like budget oil paint or acrylic. I guess I'll find out.
okay.
Well, honestly, like I'm still just trying to finish the cat, and I'm kind of at the point that I've been working on it off and on, but I just keep getting unhappy. Like I think I'll like, oh, this, and then like now, I was gonna paint a pumpkin or something Halloween, but I can't. If I don't finish something, I'm not gonna start something new. That's just me.
No, I do understand that completely.
Yeah, because then if I don't finish it eventually, then I know, like, well, my mom's like, you should just like start new ones all the time. Or other people will tell me, like, just start a new one and forget about. But I still want to finish this painting. It just ended up not being my favorite because basically, my mom doesn't understand. She sent me this picture of the cat, but it was kind of blurry because she took it on her cell phone, and I like it when I can see the features more and it looks more crisp. So I ended up just inventing what the cat looked like, and it wasn't exactly what I thought. So I've just been kind of struggling because it wasn't easy to see everything in that picture. So I'm kind of making it up as I go.
It's nice. It's nice to be able to make up a picture too.
That's true. I mean, I think I totally agree. It's very creative. I just, for some reason, but then I would add paint and it just, I kind of wish I would have kept it a little bit less paint the last time. I wasn't painting last week, but the week before, I think it was good the way it was, but then I added more paint and now I kind of have to fix it because I just threw the color off from what I wanted. Now I'm trying
Yeah,
to
if
find
you
the.
can help me to share this, it might help to get us
Okay, I can look and see if
because I actually have on my small other phone, I'm looking at the chat, but
yeah, I can share it. Let me just go ahead and do that. Oh, I didn't know you were looking at the chat. Wow. Cool.
yeah, I've got it on this tiny phone.
Oh, okay. I just decided like last time there weren't a lot of comments, so I just haven't been looking at chats as much.
Yeah, but sometimes we don't, we don't notice that somebody, like for instance, in Bettina's case, the Bettina Clement live stream. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember, and I think what it was I wanted to have the other video up, but I felt like I didn't really get it. And then another thing with Bettina, like she was kind of picky, like she didn't want me to have my microphone high. And I was just like, okay. And that makes it harder to hear people like when it's streaming like that. So I just felt like I wasn't paying as
Yeah.
much attention because I kind of like to have it high so I can hear everything personally.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's just there always is this echo. I don't know where it comes from, but there was an echo, and as a musician, she noticed it more than I did,
Yeah, but I kind of thought it might have, like, I'm not saying it wasn't me. I almost wonder if it was on her end and she had something up, but I could be wrong. And it is that laptop too. And that's another thing too, though. I don't really like sharing video if I'm going to be live streaming on that laptop because it just cannot handle video. It will make it echo like that.
Okay, well, let me go ahead and tell you what I'm planning for the 15th, which I believe is
Okay.
Friday. It's just you and I'm going to be talking about The Rational Life, that Chinese show, and I just finished watching it. I will send you a file full of still photos. We're not going to do video, okay?
Okay. Well, I do. Okay, look, this is the sad thing. I have really high speed internet. I just tested my internet. It's like some of the fastest in the area. It's really good. And probably it would be better if I get like a camera with the cord where I could use my really nice camera, kind of like Karen Ann does in her live streams. But I need to go do that. So right now I've been live streaming with a laptop, but actually I got OBS to work with the webcam, but I can't move it because then it will untangle itself. So or disattach itself anyway.
Yeah, I understand. It's just hard with things that have a cord.
Yeah, I
Because
don't know. Like, here's the thing though. Every time I live stream just by myself with the laptop, I don't have a problem. Like, I do a lot of the hair live streams, and I never have that echo. But it always seems to happen when I'm live streaming with multiple people
well,
on
I
Zoom.
think I
Or...
was the one at fault.
No, I don't think it was you. But there's something about that laptop. Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, the sound is horrible on it. It like makes an echo, and
Mhm.
I thought I double checked to make sure I didn't have anything open. I think it's that laptop. Like, there's something about when it goes into like StreamYard. Like, I don't know right now. Do you hear an echo?
No, I don't.
That's weird because I don't know. On Friday night, I heard it and I thought, well, maybe it's the laptop. I feel sometimes when I play video, like I love Magnificent Century because you know what I've been realizing about Magnificent Century, and I kept always wanting to watch it, is because the music is so beautiful. Like they have these violin solos and all this like West Asian type music, and it's just so beautiful. Like sometimes I just want to have it on in the background to listen to the soundtrack. Like and like it's just very pretty. But then I was noticing when I play it on my laptop, it makes this really horrible vibration sound. So I thought maybe the laptop, when we're going on StreamYard, something's happening. So I don't know.
It happens on StreamYard, but we're not on StreamYard right now. We're on Zoom. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it's not happening because we're on Zoom. So
yeah.
I think it could be a StreamYard issue, but it could also be my device issue. So
honestly, I know a lot less about this stuff than you do, Julia. So if you told me it was me, I would accept that too.
I don't think it was you. It just seems like I do have an echo sometimes, and I'm not upset about it. I just know that I'm not good at getting rid of the echo. So
yeah,
I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to make it echo less. That's all. Like, I don't think it was you. I really don't. But yeah, Patina noticed it. I thought, well, maybe she had something, but she kept saying like my microphone was too high. She just doesn't like the sound coming up from my end. So I didn't really have a solution for her in that case.
Yeah, I wondered why she was so sure it was you and not me. That's what I wondered.
Because she felt more confident telling me that than you. I think because she has a relationship with you and she just made the assumption it was me. I don't know. But it could have been me. I don't know. But the microphone part, I don't know. Was I really loud? Like was I boomy or something? I'm just trying to figure that one out.
Okay, you were cutting out. This is what it was. You weren't loud. But what happened is, and she's better at explaining this kind of stuff about audio because she's a musician.
Yeah.
What it seemed like was happening is that whenever you got louder, it got cut off. So it sounded weird. It didn't sound loud, but it sounded like either the higher pitches or the louder pitches were getting cut off. Do you understand?
Okay. I see what you're saying, but I guess the thing I don't know if another thing on her end that she probably doesn't understand is that then you have to turn it down really low, and I'm not going to hear because we're live streaming. It's like I could barely hear some of the things she was saying because I just wanted to hear everybody. So that kind of was a problem, but I guess like for her, it makes the acoustics good. But I'm going to be honest with you too. I think people that are in this professional, like, performance realm, they're never going to be 100% happy with live stream format capability because it's just not going to sound professional quality unless
That's fine. Not everybody that we have on is a musician. We just occasionally have musicians.
No, but I don't want to make them disappointed. That's the thing. I'm just trying to figure out what I could do. Like, I guess if I got like a sound studio, I could, because we have to be honest about these things. Like, I just think we have to be honest. I think people with sound studios that have people help them with sounds, that just makes it a lot easier. And it makes the experience like acoustically better.
So you're saying I need to get a sound studio?
No, I feel like I do because like my thing is always like I'm having so many issues with sound, but do I have like, it's not like I have the expendable income to just go.
No, I understand that. I'm not telling you what to do.
But I'm thinking that I do because, okay, like there's these people, they won't even start live streaming until everything's like super perfect. Like this one lady, like, I don't know, she spent like thousands of dollars and it took her 3 months to even get ready, she said, before she could do a live stream. And then like she set up this perfect studio. But then when I listen to her content, I don't think it's that. I'm not like putting her down. Maybe some people find it very interesting, but she's just talking about like really general topics. It's nothing really in depth. And I feel like some of our live streams with some of our interviews are just so much more interesting than that. But maybe people are more excited because of the sound quality on a more generic sound looking topic. I don't know.
Well, I don't know because I watch my daughter's streams and she's very good with the audio stuff. And I don't think that she has all the higher end equipment or anything. She
Yeah,
just,
yeah. No, I'm not saying that she does. She just seems to have the audio going, right?
yeah, and she knows how to make it not too loud and she never cuts out her voice. She has a very nice speaking voice. And, you can hear if her voice cracks or anything like that, just part of an
I
ordinary.
actually see the thing though too is I know I actually have a really good voice, and that's actually something that people tell me a lot that they like in my videos. Like it might not be like first, but I feel pretty confident about stuff like that. Like that doesn't bother me at all. I actually like my accent and the way my voice goes up and down. A lot of people really like that. Like for
Yeah,
me,
no, you have a beautiful voice. What I was saying is her equipment picks up her voice very well. That's what I was saying.
well, is it because she has the switch? Like I'm just trying to figure out like what am I doing wrong?
No,
Like
no,
I
no,
know
no,
that
no. Her voice is not on the switch. The switch is for the game.
yeah.
Um,
But
her
she just
voice,
does something differently, I guess. And I don't know. What is she doing? Like, I still am trying to figure that out.
well,
Like,
she's got a capture card for the stuff that goes on in the switch, but she captures it off her TV monitor. But and in addition to that, she's piping in music, which may not come from the switch. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And she is also speaking into a mic, and that's not on the switch, you know.
yeah, she's good at, I don't know. She just gets the audio. I'm not like, I'm not offended. Like, but I know that people just don't like the audio. Like, when I start doing it with multiple people, it seems every time I'm the one that runs into the problem. But I don't know. When I do it by myself, I haven't had anything happening like that. That's the weird part. Like if I'm just like live streaming by myself, that's not. But here's the thing: I'm not doing all those extra things she's doing either, so it probably helps, right? I don't know.
Right. I mean, if it's just one person talking, then I guess the live stream can be sort of geared to that person's audio equipment, right?
Yeah, I just feel like I'm always running into some sort of problem, and I want to make Bettina happy and other people that we have on happy. I'm trying to like figure out like, do I have to buy a new microphone?
No, I don't think you have to buy anything. It's just a question. I think it's just a question of maybe us getting together and deciding what level, decibel level we want to be on, and we'll all be
At
on.
that level. And
Yeah,
maybe I have my microphone like up too high. That could be it. I don't know. That could be it. So, I mean, she's really good at figuring out sound. I just wish I just want things not to echo on my end. That's all I'm trying to figure out right now.
yeah, I understand. But you did have some echo issues when you were demonstrating OBS. I
Oh
do
yeah,
have,
I definitely do. But also too, you have to keep in mind that's because I had two things going, and that's when I got a second thing happening. So
yeah, anytime you have two things going, that's when it gets hard.
I actually got OBS to work on my other thing. It's working right now, just me by myself. But there's no sound because I turned the sound off.
Okay. Because you were afraid of echoing over here or what?
Yeah, over there. So I just wanted to see if I could get it to work over here on the other channel. I'm also just as a test to see what it would do, but it's just this other camera. But I turned the sound down completely, so there's no echoing of any kind. So I didn't
Okay,
want that.
good. All right, well, I'll look at that later.
Yeah, it's not that important. I just want what I'm doing is like I just want to see like if I can get it to work on one of my channels without any echo. That was basically my whole thought. That was all.
Mhm.
I'm looking to see if there were any comments here, like what we're doing. Let's see.
So
I
far,
see there's a couple people watching.
oh, okay, yeah. Well, if anybody has any comments, please share them and we will try to respond.
That would be really good.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I know what I'm doing here right now because I'm just trying to learn how to draw smaller, paint smaller on a miniature canvas. And usually I paint on much, much bigger canvases.
You know what was interesting? Speaking of miniatures, I was just reading different things about Suleiman the Magnificent Son, and I guess his son Salem, he was really into miniatures. Like he loved miniatures, and he commissioned all these artists to come paint miniatures for him. And I think he had like a book of miniatures, like that was his obsession, like not him personally. And he also loved poets, and he had this female poet who was just one of his courtesans that would like recite poetry at court. I just thought that was really interesting.
That is.
He didn't live as long as his father, because this is the interesting. Okay, Suleiman lived at like to be 70, which isn't too bad for that time, considering he was in battle. All these, like, he went to so many battles. But I guess his son Salem and then later Murad, they decided to have more of a sedentary life where they were just going to sit around and paint, or which is lovely, and like draw and like walk in the garden. And then I guess they like to drink wine. So like each of them only reigned for like 8 to 10 years. But it's interesting because they're always saying, oh, it's so dangerous to go off on like battles and conquests. But Suleiman lived a really long time and he did all that. And then under his sons, there's just like, oh yeah, we feel complacent now. That's when they started losing territory actually in the Ottoman Empire, because they would still fight, but back in the day, the Sultan used to go out and he would be the one fighting, which I thought was so interesting. I know European kings did that too, but it just seems like in more recent centuries, you would have the leaders at home and they'd be safe. They wouldn't be going out on the battlefield to fight with their soldiers, you know?
Yeah, you're right. That is a better thing. One of the reasons I admire Jean Lafitte is he went into battle, he went and fought duels with people. So he wasn't just a political leader, but he also did things.
Yeah, and I think that's why Suleiman lived such a long time for that time period, and he was in better health because he wasn't just sitting like they were like and it kind of just makes me think, okay, they're always saying, oh, it's so dangerous to go, but he had like a purpose and he wanted to be fair and he wanted to like think of like how to codify the law in a just way. Like he was always thinking about art and justice and being a good statesman through actually like similar to Jean Lafitte, like going out and fighting with his troops, not just like sitting at home and being like, oh yeah, you just do that. And it's interesting, yeah, they started losing power and prominence like when the leaders decided that they were just going to sit at home and not participate anymore. I thought that was kind of interesting. And also the part with the miniatures, it kind of reminds me of what you're doing with painting a miniature today.
Yeah, well, I'm not an actual miniature artist like that. I'm just trying. So you guys will have to forgive me for my clumsiness.
Fine. Let's see, do we have any comments? Checking. So far, no comments.
I also wanted to ask you, Julia, about two-factor identification or what it is.
Yeah, I haven't fully turned it on yet.
I haven't either. I don't really want to, and I'll tell you why. Because it seems to me that they want us to be limited to certain devices. And if we're on those devices, then we can't, we have to be like on 2 devices at the same time, like our cell phone and our laptop. And if we ever have something break down, I don't see how we'll be able to do it,
Yeah, I don't like that. And I also feel like it's a tracking thing. Like I feel like they want to, okay, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like they don't want anybody to maybe like log into another channel when they're on one. I don't know, like what the whole thought is behind it, because I don't feel like it's for like making it a safer space. I feel like it's just for limiting what you can do on YouTube with one device. And I don't want to turn it on. I just don't, because they keep telling me I have to do it. They've been telling me for 2 years and I've refused to do it because I kept being told that I needed to do it.
Now they're saying that November 1st, we're actually going to have to, or we won't be able to use YouTube.
This is so ridiculous. I'm so tired of this. Like, it's always like something new, but then they take everything away, like Google Hangouts, and like it's okay for them to take things away, but then I don't know. I think YouTube and a lot of other websites used to be better when they would try to have extra things, and then it seems like, oh, they just have to pare it down more and more.
That's why I don't actually think there's a future in YouTube. I know you think that, and you think that we're going to be able to get back the revenue that we used to have, or maybe you will, but I don't know. I really don't think there is a long-term future in YouTube.
There might not be, but I'm also like diversifying, and I'm going to start going like do more TikTok, more Instagram. I'm gonna just do a few other things as well, not limit myself to YouTube. And I'm not saying that I don't know if I'm ever gonna make that kind of income again, but I'm not gonna like what it is in my free time, I do want to draw and paint more.
Oh,
so
sure.
I'm gonna just work on my platforms and do that.
I do too. I'm just saying, not sure that there's, sticking to YouTube is not necessarily the way to do it.
Maybe not, but I'm not going to do Rumble
or
anything like that. Rumble had no traffic, so I uploaded a video there, and it was like a joke. And somebody said recently to somebody that they should upload to Rumble again, and I said, but wait, like back in December, a whole bunch of people did that, and they realized like nobody was there, like. And some news agencies were doing it too, like they were uploading videos to Rumble, and they got like no views, like local ones in different states, not like national ones. So there was a lot of like content there, and some of it was professional. And so I get more views on TikTok now than I do on YouTube any given day. And I'm not saying like that's the future, but I know that there's,
but it's not for me, because I'm not going to go there. I know that it belongs to a Chinese company. I know that they basically favor propaganda that goes for China, and anything that goes against China, they try to ban it.
Yeah, that is true, but so does YouTube right now. So and also too, there is a little bit of okay. I'm not saying TikTok's perfect, and like yes, there's some questions, but they are based in Singapore. It is a Chinese person who owns it. It may have connections to the government, but at this point, how does Google not? How does Twitter not?
Yeah, okay. That's a legitimate question that you just asked. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just wondering. I think they all do. I think they're all like in bed with the Chinese at this point.
Yeah. Well, did you hear that we're going to have shortages pretty soon? That there is already a shortage in one thing that I like to buy. My mother likes to buy it. It's Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream. And it used to be very easy to buy as much of that as you like. And now I try to order it for my mother, and they act like they have it, but then they don't deliver it, because it's.
Yeah, that's actually happened to me like with sparkly water. And I knew that they had it because it was there to order, but then they said, oh, we ran out. And I don't know, just something else, like a basic thing that was advertised on Amazon. I ordered it. And then the next day they said, sorry, we just can't deliver it without an explanation. So they just canceled my order. Okay, I've heard this with soda too. Like, I guess in some parts of the Midwest, Dr. Pepper, you just couldn't find it, like barely. And then another soda too. They were saying it was hard to find this other one. You just couldn't find it, like just random things. And then, okay, this is the most random thing, but I was talking with a lady yesterday. We are just talking about how Del Taco fries used to be really good. And I don't even eat fries out that much, but now like they're soggy, like they taste like a wet noodle. And nobody wants to eat a fry that tastes like a wet noodle. And then she told me even Red Robin, like several different places she'd went out to eat fries didn't taste good. So I started just pondering out loud. I said, remember when they dumped all those potatoes at the beginning of COVID and they said they had to get rid of like massive amounts of potatoes?
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering, and I could be wrong. I'd have to kind of research this, but my intuition says so. Maybe like the potatoes that we got left over with just are not the highest quality. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I even bought some potatoes, and I used to like to make potatoes more. But the last time I made potatoes, they weren't very good. Like they tasted just not very good to me. And they've sat in my fridge for like the longest time. And I kind of just didn't feel interested in making anything with potatoes. And I used to love them. So, and I know you don't really eat like starchy things like that, but the potato crop, I'm just wondering if it's been subpar because of having to get rid of
A
like
lot of
massive.
things have been. There was a while, I kind of depend on mandarin oranges for my vitamin C, and
Mhm.
I hardly eat any fruit or any vegetables, but I do eat some, and I think it's important that I get that.
Yeah, you
Uh,
want like a good quality one though, right?
right, and all of a sudden, the same little oranges that I've been buying for years, they weren't any good because I like them tart.
Hmm.
I need the acid part of it. And they came and they were too sweet or too ripe or whatever. And I had to finally tell myself, even though I don't like to waste things, if it's really not doing anything for me, I have permission not to eat it.
I totally understand. I mean, I even have some oranges in my fridge, and I will say oranges used to taste better, but it
Yeah.
seems like during the last year, like the oranges have just been really bad, or they go bad really quickly. And one, I mean, I used to be able to keep an orange for a little bit and wouldn't go completely off, but I just had bought some oranges and I had them sitting there, and it's like they were completely almost rotten so quickly, which
Yeah.
tells me maybe they were pretty old when I got them. They're
Yeah.
not.
I think we're getting very old ones, and the quality control is not good. And they're charging us extra, because everything is going up.
Oh, yes, I heard about that inflation. So Joe Biden got really defensive about that. They said, everything's gone up, like inflation's on the rise. How is that helping the American people? And everybody would be like, Trump just answer questions, but he'll just like be evasive and he'll just say something kind of weird. And people keep saying that he's such a good president. And I'm just like, ugh, well, I don't know about that. I think inflation's up since
Oh
he
yeah,
became.
it's up a lot worse than usual. That we have had inflation for a very long
Well,
time.
we've had it for a very long time, but I could tell you that the prices in the store have gone up really high, and
Yeah,
apartments have jumped super high, and everything, houses, everything has gone up. I don't
yeah.
see how that helps anybody, but then to compensate for it, all of a sudden there's all these jobs that pay like more than I've ever seen. But then I'm like, are these jobs like okay, this is why I'm skeptical though, because there are some jobs like, okay, LinkedIn is supposed to be legitimate, but there's some people that advertise that you're going to make this rate on LinkedIn. Okay. And I want to know, like, are those jobs going to be around in 6 months? Like, I'm just curious. Like,
Yeah.
are they sustainable? Like, can they really sustain paying people that high of a salary, like this jump that I've seen? Is that sustainable? Or are they just trying to entice people in, get them to work, and then like 6 months later the economy's going to crash again and they're going to lay a lot of people off? I'm just wondering, about all that.
Well, I don't know if our society is sustainable, to tell you the truth. So I don't know
No,
anything.
it probably isn't. I mean, that's the thing though, that we have to kind of, well, it's a very dark topic and I don't like to think about it all the time, but anytime you kind of just have a realistic conversation about it, people will have realistic conversations about all sorts of things. Like they'll plan their funeral and things like that, which to me is kind of macabre. But if you start saying maybe it's not sustainable, the population growth the way it's going, people get mad. And I don't like, look, Bill Gates had a very evil solution to it, in my opinion. But just saying, like, we, yes, it's
I'm
great that
not
we
even
have.
I'm not even talking about population growth at this point, Julia. I'm talking about the fact that we have massive debt to China.
Well, that too, but here's another thing. Population growth does kind of play into it, especially where I live, because it's limited resources. Like, I don't want to curb the population. I don't want to do that. But here's the thing. they want to build more houses out here. And they are telling people right now that own houses out here that they need to cut their power or sign up for like the voluntary power outages because the power grid cannot handle the people that are living here.
This is, I don't even believe that that's an ecological issue. That's an economic issue whenever, because obviously the power company, if it were an actual business, would find a way to either charge more or, get more. Either way, they would not tell people not to use power. That's not how the economy works. Do you understand?
It's state controlled to some extent. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like the
Well, I
state
wouldn't
is
say that is sustainability on an ecological basis. I would say that is government intervention.
It is. And they're doing that in Lebanon, actually, because now Lebanon is having this horrible. Did you hear what happened to them recently? Like their one like the state controls the one power company, which is horrible. Like when you have the state controlling a power company and people were only getting 2 hours of power a day. So now they're saying, oh, we don't have enough fuel to run it anymore. We're going to be doing more shutdowns. And people only had 2 hours of power per day. And now some people can afford to run a generator, but not everybody, even, and this is affluent people too, like groceries have gone up sky high. But I do think a lot of this is government like manipulation, not free market, but anyway, I guess I'm like, for me, I want to just kind of keep trying to do my own little thing. I don't foresee I'm getting back to where I used to be, but I don't want to give up on what I want to do, which is something that I hope to make a difference and create art and have like a platform. And I'm not going to give up on that. That's all. I'm not saying I'm going to be a superstar. I just want to keep doing what I'm doing.
Well, you can definitely do that as long as you don't have any, monetary requirements for it.
Well, that's why I just will do it it's for me. I wanted to make money, but it has been always a hobby. And I guess it's going to be more of a hobby now where I will not expect it to be like the biggest earner that it once was. That's all.
Okay.
But I still enjoy doing it, and I'm just going to keep doing it because I don't see the point of giving up on it. And if I was doing something else, then I wouldn't be able to do YouTube, and I kind of like having the creative outlet. I enjoy that.
Well, I mean, if you were doing something else, that would be something that would replace not YouTube, but your day job.
Yes, but I feel like with certain types of what it is I want a kind of day job that's not going to be so encompassing that it's like just around the clock. And I think some people get so engrossed in something that that's all they do. I still am going to I like to have a little bit of just time to myself. I don't want to work like I know myself. I can't work 70 hours a week. Like some people can do that and they're happy, but that's just not me.
Well, I think 40 hours a week is what is the average job.
Even that is pushing it though. Like when you're working 40 hours a week, it just at the beginning of the week, like you feel fine, but it also can be the way that it lands too. But if you have any deviation and like working early, late, it kind of makes you thrown off a bit. And I've talked to other people and we all kind of feel the same way, but like a lot of jobs require that of you now. And I guess we're actually kind of lucky though, because there are some jobs, like especially in the corporate world, where I guess it's not unknown to ask people to be there from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. But I guess that the economic compensation pays off, I just don't like this whole, it's not sustainable, this society. I think you're right, because I don't see how we're going to improve on anything that we previously did in the past. That's just my feeling about it. Like, do you see this new era as an improvement?
No, of course not. But a lot of people say, well, we took a downturn before, we can do it again. And remember, during World War II, things were awful. But then after the peace, after the war was over, then we had an economic boom, and they're thinking that's going to happen again. And I don't think so.
I don't think so. And it was also a different time. Like there may have been some regulation, but things weren't wildly regulated like they are today. Businesses could like thrive. Like in the era of Mad Men, they could do any kind of advertising campaign they want. Like nowadays, if they were even to like have a pretty woman in a short skirt, like in a certain pose, somebody might say, "Oh my God, that's the patriarchy trying to seduce every." Like it, you have to be careful. Like you can't do shows. You can't. Like everything's so regulated, or just like it's harder to do business these days in this environment. And I don't think that living raising minimum wage or universal health care made it better. It just seems like the economy became more precarious when all those things were implemented.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, maybe I just need to have more. I keep thinking, am I just not positive enough? Like, because some people seem to really think it's all fine.
Well, maybe it is for them because maybe they're cooperating with the new regime.
Yeah, I think that's it. They kind of, well, that's another thing too. I think the people that, I'm going to be really honest, like that do really well on any platform or in any era, they're going to be the people that play the game, whatever it may be. And I'm just like, okay, but it is, I mean, there's always a rise and fall of the superpower. So I don't know. I don't have any answers.
I just wonder if a place like Korea is a good place to go when everything crashes.
It might be. I mean, Korea seems to still prize freedom, and they seem to be doing well at the moment in creative realms and many other business realms.
Right. I wonder to what extent they're being targeted by China.
They probably are quite a bit, but I feel like at this point they have reached a point. The vibe I'm getting is that they want to stand up to like past wrongs. Like I feel like they might be doing it through soft power methods, but I saw a documentary on this, but I think they don't want to be bullied by China or Japan. Well, not Japan so much, because I think Japan's kind of on the decline due to the population atrophy. Japan's not going to be able to replicate itself in 100 years. So that's sad. But, China's a threat to Korea for sure. South Korea.
Yes. I agree.
I mean, but we also have to think too, like, how complicit are we? Like, are we selling out? Because Joe Biden pretends, like, people keep saying he is like going to stand up to Chinese tyranny, but all he said in his speech, which I thought was so flaccid, was in 50 years, I guess our children need to see, do dictatorships or does democracy win? And you could interpret that two different ways. It almost makes me think, is he just saying that we sold out and he could just pretend like he's saying something else?
Well, look, he's part of the New World Order. So
that's what I'm saying. He's basically telling us right now.
I don't think that we need to worry about anything that he says. I don't listen to him.
No, I don't listen to him, but somebody said that how dare I say he didn't like stand up for like human rights in China, because he is. And I said he didn't do a thing. It's just that person. It was a robot anyway. I was probably arguing with a robot.
Yeah, so. No problem. But yeah, there's no need to argue with bots.
But no people kept coming back and telling the robot that it said made really brilliant points. I was like, oh.
Let me tell you about a Korean show that I started watching, because I already finished the Chinese show, The Rational Life. So I started watching something that's called Her Private Life. It's a comedy. You don't have to take it very seriously, but it's the protagonist is there's a woman and a man, but the woman is a curator at a private museum.
Ooh.
But in in her private life, she's a fan of a K-pop idol.
Aw.
And she's so in love with it, you know, but in a fanish kind of way. It's not like she thinks she has a relationship with him or anything. Well, it's complicated, but I find it really amusing, all the stuff about the fans and fandom, and the fact that you have to hide the fact that you're a fan of anything in your work life. And that was true when I was a lawyer and I was a Star Trek fan, and I didn't want anyone to know I was a Star Trek fan in my private life.
That's sad though that people have to hide. Well, I guess like in a field like law, you kind of do. That is
Well, you know, the museum art field is also kind of like that. So anyway, she wants to privately purchase a painting that the K-pop idol wants, you know, because he loves art. And so she goes to an art auction. She's actually there on behalf of the museum, but she wants to also privately buy this one painting and give it to her idol because he wants it. But this other guy shows up there, and he's of course our male protagonist.
Oh no.
And he outbids her for that painting.
Oh gosh, this sounds like something that's been going on in real life lately.
Yeah, how come?
Well, there's this guy, he always outbids people on books, and they were getting mad because he would run in front of them and get like he was being very, but it's just kind of funny. It sounds like something I heard about recently, that's all.
Okay, well, that sounds interesting. I'd love to hear about that. Anyway, this guy, you remember there was a period when people in the United States were adopting people from Korea? I mean,
oh yeah, I do, because there's actually a few people, like that girl that I took the picture with.
Oh,
she's from South Korea.
Okay.
Yeah, well, she was adopted.
Yeah, so this male protagonist, he goes by the name of Ryan Gold, and that's his adopted name. He was adopted, his parents, and there's a flashback of his mother just leaving him at the doorstep of an orphanage. Aww. And he's crying. So he remembers his natural parents, and he's angry, you know, about it, about being given up for adoption.
Yes, I can imagine. I mean,
but anyway, he was brought up in the United States, and he became really well known as an artist. But then he stopped painting. He went through some kind of emotional thing. He stopped painting, but then he shows up and he's the director of that museum where Our Lady, the protagonist, works. So now he's her boss.
Oh, interesting angle.
Yeah, and then he has a new idea of how to market the museum, and his idea is, let's take K-pop stars and ask them what artworks they own and have an exhibition of that, and that public more interested in art than they usually are.
That's interesting.
So, and she's pretending that she doesn't know who her idol is. His name is Xion, something like that. But anyway, she's pretending that because she thinks she'll lose her job if anybody knew that she's actually a fan. She's not just a fan. She runs a website.
Oh, wow. So she's almost like what you would call like the president of a fan club, so to speak, right, in the modern sense.
And so anyway, Ryan Gold makes an appointment with Xion, and he tells her that as part of her job, she has to go and be there with him at that appointment where they're going to talk about the exhibition and his favorite paintings and all that. And she has to pretend that she's really unhappy that she's being forced to go meet her idol.
Oh, no. That's funny.
And so she goes over there, and she says, can I go into the back? First of all, it turns out that along with all the great paintings that he owns, he has a giant blown up version of the first photo of him that she took. And she goes and she wears a mask and she has this giant camera and she takes photos of him at public events and then posts it on her blog. And he said, "Oh, this is my favorite photo of me by a fan, and I don't even know who that fan is." And so then she asks, "Can I use your bathroom?" She goes into the bathroom and she says to the mirror, "Oh, you're so lucky that you get to see Xi'an every day." And then she says that to the soap, and then she gets embarrassed about the soap maybe touching certain parts of him.
Oh gosh.
And then because she's so embarrassed about saying that to the soap, she touches the shower and she gets herself wet.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
And then the museum director, Ryan Gold, lets her use his jacket because, when she's wet, it's like being naked. So she leaves the apartment building wearing that jacket, but Xi'an has an identical jacket, and all the paparazzi take a picture of her, and they decide there's a scandal that Xi'an has a girlfriend. Anyway, it's a very funny show.
That's funny, actually, because it's just so many things happen. Like she's just a fan. She takes pictures of him secretly. He says, and she goes, it's just all these, a series of unfortunate events that lead to something that's
right. So the last cliffhanger that I saw was somebody tried to run her over because all the fans are mad that he has a girlfriend. And she's identified as the girlfriend. Somebody threatened to kill her.
See, that's so scary. You would think I guess people get fanatical, but you would think if somebody was a fan, they'd be happy, like a true fan. They would be happy, like even if it wasn't really his girlfriend, but they just thought that. Like to me, that's the scary part about how people get with being about fans, and it actually brings up a good discussion about like any kind of fandom, really, because that's happened before where people try to attack a fan, somebody they're a fan of or somebody connected. That's interesting.
Yeah, but those are I think those are the crazies. Most fans are not like that.
No, those are the crazies, but then they make it seem like it's cautionary tale, like, oh, like you better not ever try to do anything and become famous because this could happen. But that could happen. I hate it when they like make it seem like, oh, that's gonna happen all the time when that's one bad person that just went off the rails,
Yeah.
But it sounds like a funny show.
Yeah, it is a funny show, but actually it's interesting how shamed people are. Society shames you if you like something really badly. You really like something.
I guess they do. I mean, honestly, I've never if I like something like painting, drawing, or shit, I never really hit it. I was always kind of open about it, but I think I've had more latitude to do that because I've never been in a profession where like, oh my gosh, like you like this or that. And I don't know, a lot of people I know actually like things even more than I do. Like they love Star Wars. Like there are some avid Star Wars fans. And some people would say to me, because I didn't know much about Star Wars, oh, you should know more about it because it's almost like an American cultural experience or something. Like people got that like in many different settings. Like people love Star Wars or baseball. So I don't know, like I guess like I could see in the art world or like in law, like you have to be more serious, I think, like more focused. You can't like I guess it could diminish her credibility if somebody were to find out she ran a fan site. Is that kind of like what the issue is?
She kept having nightmares. Oh, here's another plot twist. Okay, so the new director, he keeps ordering he orders latte without any milk, without any coffee in it.
So it's just milk, right?
Yeah, so basically just milk. And so she tries to get back at him and she puts some coffee in his drink.
Uh-oh.
And he ends up, conking out and being in the hospital, nearly dies because he has a coffee allergy.
Uh-oh. That's a new one. I haven't heard of a coffee allergy before, but I'm sure it exists.
Yeah, so then she's afraid they're going to accuse her of murdering him. And so
wow, that's kind of absurd. That's almost like the full 9 to 5 thing where, oh my God, it sounds similar to that.
So she has a nightmare. Well, actually, they both have a nightmare together because she goes to the hospital and she tries to take care of him, and he latches onto her hand while he's not conscious. And he's having a nightmare about his mother, abandoning him, so probably a recurring nightmare. Um, and so he latches onto her hand and won't let go, really hard. And so she has to stay there with him clutching her hand for a really long time. And so finally she falls asleep and she has a nightmare that the police come to arrest her and that she's not just accused of murdering him or attempted murder, but also they accuse her of being a fan.
Oh gosh, that's funny. You are accused of being a fan. That is pretty funny.
Yeah, and she blames her parents that she's a fan because her parents, she says, are fanatics, each one of a different thing, not of K-pop, but her mother,
other things.
Yeah, her mother knits all the time, and so their house is full of, like knit pillows and knit this and knit that. She can't stop knitting because she's a knitting fan. And
that's funny.
And her father doesn't work, he's a real problem. All he does is collect rocks and he shines the rocks that he collects.
Oh, you could sell them. I mean, that you could do painted rocks. I don't know.
I know, but anyway.
That's funny.
And she has a brother, but he's not really her brother. It's several episodes I was under the impression that was her brother, okay? And then it turns out actually he has another mother. His mother wasn't married when he was born. So her mother agreed to raise him in return for payment. So basically, their family income comes from the single mother who let them raise her son. So it's weird.
It's an interesting story, though. I mean, I've heard about a lot of these different things that you're mentioning. Just actually, there was a South Korean woman, and I guess her mother was technically Japanese or maybe mixed descent Japanese. Like she might have been a child that was born during the war. Is what she wasn't sure about all the details because her mother was adopted, but apparently the father was a Japanese soldier. They came from a wealthy family and they adopted her out to this poor Korean family. And I guess the mom was never like, it was a video I watched on Ancestry DNA. And this woman was saying she took an Ancestry DNA test and she was disappointed because at that time they couldn't pinpoint the Asian ancestry very well because she was trying to find out if she was, half Japanese, which was the story that they had heard or somehow found out. But I've heard of these different stories, like in Korea, where a single parent will end up, I mean, because it's still a very traditional society. So that doesn't surprise me.
Right. But they laugh about it. It's a comedy, but they laugh about it. And that guy, who's kind of her brother, but not really her brother, when his mom comes to visit, and his mom always gives money to the other mom, she always, but he says, "Oh, you're not really my mom. You're like a cuckoo. You're a cuckoo mom."
Oh gosh.
But it's affectionate. It's just a joke.
Oh, that's cute. I mean, it's fun. That's fun. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that I don't expect some of these plot twists, it makes it more interesting for me to watch the Korean shows.
Yeah, because I think Korean shows, they don't always seem as formulaic to me, but maybe it's just because, I don't know, are they formulaic to South Korean audiences? Because I don't think so. I feel like they're more creative. Like things happen in these shows that I don't expect.
Right.
Whereas, I don't know, I feel like American shows are very formulaic, or they literally would just redo an episode. Like, I don't know if you ever noticed. Well, I don't watch sitcoms anymore, but back in the day, there would be like an episode on the Cosby Show that would basically be an episode they did on the Brady Bunch, and like almost word for word, but they just did it a little bit differently. Like there would be certain trope episodes that they would do like on a lot of the major shows over and over again. And people would say these are so entertaining, but I'm like, it's like the same thing. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I know. I know. I was never really, to tell you the truth, I wasn't a big fan of the Cosby Show.
yeah, not me either. Kara really hated it. She said that she didn't like how Bill Cosby was dancing with his hands. It really bothered her at the time. I'm like, I don't know. I said, just don't watch it.
Right.
Because he did this thing, like he'd be like, I just thought, I don't know, to be honest with you, I kind of liked a different world a little bit more. But then that got kind of weird too, because I know that they let certain people go from the show. But I kind of like that one a little bit more. It just was different, and it wasn't as, like, I don't know, forced. And then I don't know, but I didn't watch that after a while. But I did think it was interesting that recently that the actress who was on that show, I guess, has been criticized just because she had questions about Vaseline. Like I told you about that, right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, we
Yeah, I
did.
thought that was kind of funny. But
Yeah. Well, Robert Kennedy Jr.
mhm.
I think he lost all his media accounts because of that Vaseline thing.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, I didn't know that Robert De Niro also felt the same way because he has a son who is autistic, and now they're accusing him of being on Vaseline like boards or something. I had noticed he doesn't work as much anymore. Like he doesn't do as many movies. I thought, well, maybe he just wanted to retire, but I think he kind of fell out of favor a little bit. And they
Now,
put a lot of
who are we talking about now?
Robert De Niro. He's a
Oh,
big actor.
yeah. I was talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
No, I'm just saying there's not other people is what
Oh,
I'm saying.
okay. Yeah.
I'm not as familiar with Robert Kennedy. I'm just like saying there's other examples of people that I think.
Okay, I understand. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't follow Robert Kennedy that much. I don't really know much about him.
Well, he was campaigning about that Vaseline thing.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't follow him. I just recently came across an article in a major, and it only was on my radar because this YouTube video was recommended to me about Lisa Bonet has been canceled because of Vaseline, and I thought that's kind of weird. Like, and I had a picture of Vaseline, and the guy who made the video, he's kind of creative. He basically said he has questions about the recent Vaseline, and he doesn't want to get it, but like he's feeling pressure to do so. And he said, a lot of people have questions about it. So they played a segment from the Phil Donahue show with Lisa Bonet, where she said she wasn't going to vaccinate her child. And they were very rude to her. Like people were kind of trashing her then. And I guess now like they're saying, oh, she's been canceled, but she's not even in show business anymore. Like she completely retired from public life.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that was a little silly because it's interesting. Like, I just think it's an interesting discussion. So, like, let's say you wanted to be a carnivore or you want to be a vegan, and mostly people will say, well, that's your personal choice because it's your life and whatever you eat is up to you. And we say that should be your personal choice. My only thought about this whole thing is that if adults don't want to partake in something or ingest something, like, why do we need to make it mandatory? I don't think we should.
Well, what they did in the past, and then I realize this now. As a parent, I gave my daughter all the Vaseline that the doctor said she should get. Okay. But I realized I wouldn't have taken that Vaseline myself, but I was afraid they would say I was a bad mother. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they kind of pressure you. They make you feel guilty if you don't do it.
Yeah. So they were using our children all along for a long time.
Yeah, they were. And then, well, I was surprised to find out actually, like, the local university, Loma Linda University, like, some of the people actually didn't get certain Vaselines for their children, and they were dental students and doctor students, and they said that they didn't want to get the measles one. Like, even though I had that, like, they had questions about it because of some research, but now they're saying that you can't even question anything and that it's all good and that you must like do this. And that list of the celebrities who were questioning Vaseline, even though there's been several cases where they tested things on people, minority people, by the way, like the government did that, and it was only 20 years before, like back in the 60s and 70s, before the whole Lisa Bonet thing. And that was a reason a lot of people have questions about it, because they said, well, if the government can do things to people and give them a virus, or like maybe like in a test saying it's research, maybe we're skeptical of something. And I just think, I used to think we had the freedom to decide what we wanted to do to ourselves. But yes, I do think that doctors make people feel guilty if they don't do everything that's recommended, I guess. Recommended, but it's gotta be hard being a parent these days. My sister said the same thing, because her son's about your age, and she said, why are they making me get him so many Vaseline like thing? Like,
Yeah.
there were other ones, you know, like for middle school kids that we never took.
Yeah, there was chicken pox that I never had.
I mean, I had chicken pox, but they were making the only reason I got chicken pox was because back in the day they used to have pox parties. I don't know if that's a good idea.
No. I mean, they were giving vaccines against chicken pox, and he couldn't go to kindergarten unless he got one.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I never had a vaccine for that. I had the chicken pox.
Right. So do you want to look at the painting?
Oh, it looks really good, Aya.
You can see it okay? Can you see
Yeah,
it?
it looks really nice. It's like a veil, like a wedding veil, like a wedding.
Yes. It's my mom and dad at their wedding. It's not that great because it's just, you know.
I think for a miniature, it's not bad. I know you think like, oh, you don't like miniatures, but I thought it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna now go into another painting because I honestly don't think I can improve on that. It's so small, you know.
I don't think you have to. It's a miniature painting, and look at me, like right now, like I keep going like, let's add more paint, and I think it just keeps getting more annoying to me. I'm not happy when I keep adding more paint, but I'm trying to fix it. I just don't. I don't have a good explanation for you as to what I'm doing with it. I'm just trying to fix it, I guess is what I could tell you.
Okay, so this time I'm going in a little bigger because that one is my mother and father together, but this one is just going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Same space, but only one person.
Sounds good to me. Just looking to see if we have any comments or not. See, I don't see any comments yet, but let me keep checking.
Now, where did you share it? Because I didn't share it.
I just shared it on Facebook.
Okay.
But I'm kind of disappointed because I thought at first the OBS thing was working on my one end, but I think it just conked out, because I think that's the problem. You kind of have to sit there and monitor it. So it showed a few minutes and then it just ended on its own.
Oh.
That's weird though. I don't know why it would end by itself.
That is weird.
Yeah, it just ended all by itself. I didn't push anything. It just decided, I guess, that it was going to end.
So I was telling you that I saw this woman who was saying how to paint faces.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
And she was doing really well in terms of viewers, but okay, all she said is, okay, eyes here, ears here.
Okay.
I think we all know that, right?
I think we all know that, but I also question too. I know some people think, okay, I think some people buy app views, and they do. Like, honestly, that does help some people out. I think some people buy viewer until they get to a certain point. It's pretty well known. I'm not saying every influencer does that, but I mean, some people have even openly admitted later, oh, hell, I have bought some ads and some views, but I did it a few times, not followers, but I would promote my video. But I'll tell you why I won't do it again, because then I found out you still had to have 4,000 hours of watch time on that one channel. So I wasn't going to keep getting ads for it if I wasn't getting to that point.
Well, yeah, no, I would not do that.
I tried it because people kept saying, you didn't promote your channel. You need to try an ad. So I did. Like, I did it with one really good video. And yeah, on that one channel, it didn't work. Like, it didn't do anything. I think I finally got over 1,000 subscribers because it kind of helped me get over, like, because basically it wasn't an ad on YouTube. It was just an ad on Facebook, just sharing like some of the content I create, like with one video. And after that, like, I got a few more subscribers, but I didn't get the views I was hoping for. But some people, there are things, and you're not supposed to do it. Like, it's technically frowned upon, but people do buy viewers. They buy people to subscribe to their channel. Like, there are services like that. So sometimes when we see somebody with a lot of subscribers, like, we have to keep in mind they might have used some of those practices. We don't know everything they did to get to where they are right now.
Mhm.
You know.
So you bought an ad for the California.
Yeah, I did. That was a couple years ago. And then after I noticed that it didn't do anything for me, I just thought I would never do it again.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
it did was help me get to like a little bit over a hump because I was like at 970 subscribers and I was trying to get to 1,000 because I thought I was sure once I got to 1,000, my views would start going up.
Mm-hmm.
So I promoted like one of my little art videos, and I think I did one just about hair or something. And then I got a few more subscribers, and then my views never went back up. Like, I didn't get the 4,000 hours of watch time that you need. So yeah, at that point, it wasn't worth it for me to ever do it. But some people keep doing it, I guess. Like, there are people that do that. They buy ads. Like, it's common practice. I'm not saying that it's something I think you should do, but I'm just saying some people do that, like, to get their viewership up.
I've never done that, so the 40,000 that I have, I never advertised it.
No, I mean, I didn't do that with my hair channel. I did it with the California art one.
I know, but I never, if I get 1,000 on this art channel, it's going to be, without ads.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't think ads are bad per se. I didn't get the result that they told me I would get if I had an ad. So I don't see the point.
Yeah.
Because it's just like advertising something you do. Like, if you have like some service or like something, like, it just helps you get a bigger audience. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I've done the advertising thing because I was told before that I shouldn't show things on Facebook. Remember, people kept saying every time I did a post, like, why is it nobody looks at my Facebook post about a hub or a video or like something I do on Zazzle? So they always told me, well, you need to advertise on Facebook. You shouldn't like post it as a post. Nobody wants to see a post about that. You should make an ad. And
well, why would somebody want to see an ad if your friends don't even want to see a post,
Well, the point was, like, and the people who told me that, it was people like John Dalton and other people who are very successful, like with, like, they had a lot of success with it. Their point was, like, it's when you have an ad on Facebook, they're going to be promoting it to an audience that
but
interested.
you have to know what your audience is. The thing about John Dalton is he knows exactly who his audience is, and he made me feel bad that I didn't know who mine were.
Yeah, I know. I just don't know who my audience is because I don't think, well, basically, okay, what was I told? I was told with the hair channel that the only reason that guys watch the channel is because they think I'm looking for a date or something.
Who said that?
Oh, some of the guys on there, they told me, they go, you maybe like should come live with me. Like, some guys thought I was looking to make an international dating site. That's why I've said a few times that's not the purpose of the channel. Like, it was just to show long hair and talk. But some people interpret it as that I want to like date them or something. And I never said that.
No,
but I've had
like that, fans make up stuff like that, but you don't have to take that seriously. It doesn't.
No, I'm not taking it seriously, but one of the people who told me that, he's actually a teacher. He's a pretty professional person. He just thinks, like, I don't know why he thought that, whatever, but that's just the reaction I get from that channel. So then I try to do the other channel more, and it just doesn't get the views. So I guess I'd have to keep working on that one.
Well, that's the thing. My audience isn't the audience that I would like to have. so for instance, I did a chicken video, and you saw that, you commented on
I
it.
liked it. It was really cool.
Yeah, so I'm a linguist. I'm interested in communication, and I'm also interested in the difference between involuntary communication and voluntary communication. And what I noticed is the chickens announce when they lay an egg, but I don't think they have a choice. I think they just have to announce that.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. But why do they have to announce it?
Well, you know how sometimes you have to sneeze and you can't help it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think for them, it's kind of like, okay, I just laid an egg and now I have this horrible urge to let everybody know. And even if I want to keep the egg for myself, I have to let everybody know I laid an egg. And then, of course, I come and take the egg, you know?
Interesting. Okay. I never
But
thought about it. I didn't even know that chickens announced that they laid eggs until you posted that video. I didn't think that they made any noise at all when they did that. I just thought chickens made noise like occasionally. And I really didn't. I'm not a chicken linguist expert. So I know that roosters like to crow at like times that people don't like. I know that.
yeah, roosters likes to announce when the dawn comes.
So some people were mad at the guy who built the barn in the valley that I drew once because he had a rooster. And his
Yeah.
rooster didn't just announce at dawn, it announced like all the live long day. And they were like, his rooster just goes off all the time. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it's a broken rooster. What are you gonna do? But they were so mad because it would carry through the valley. But it's funny because it's like this valley of these mountains, and like the noise will sometimes bounce off the mountains. And you can kind of see like parts of like the city Hesperia in the distance, but it's not, it looks far away, but the way that the mountains are positioned, it's only like 15 or 16 miles away. If you could just float across the air, it's just weird how it's positioned like that. And people would be like, the noise carries. And I'm like, well, you can hear the train down in Hesperia. And when I finally got a powerful camera, I zoomed in on it. I said, see, I'm telling you, because everybody would be like, what is that noise? I hear all this clanking and clacking. I'm like, it's the train. It carries through the valley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And nobody believed me until I finally pointed out. I'm like, do you see? There's a train down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were like,
We
what's
hear
that
all
noise?
sorts yeah, we hear all sorts of sounds. Like if the neighbors are shooting across the street, we can hear them very clearly, even though
Yeah,
it's
because
not.
there's no other sounds to like interrupt it or cancel it out, right?
Well, I mean, I do have trees growing in my front yard to sort of shield us from the neighbors, but you know, it's not enough.
Well, even up there, there's many trees, but it's just weird because some people are up higher, lower, and like something like I had never thought, like acoustically, like it doesn't even have to be your next door neighbor. It could be somebody up the way, like to the side, like somehow what they're saying will bounce off the mountain and like come down to you and you can hear it like you're really close. The acoustics are just interesting. So I could like hear like when this guy would fight with his wife over a pink comb. Like it was just funny. I didn't move your pink comb. And I'm like, so I could hear everything they said. It was interesting.
Well, Bo can hear everything the neighbors say too. So
Well, he's got super good hearing. I might not have as good of hearing as Bo.
yeah.
I mean, chimpanzees have good hearing, right?
Yeah, so he told me when people moved in, you know, that place keeps getting renters and then they leave because all those people are usually very troubled
Oh.
and they leave their dogs and then I end up having to adopt the dogs and stuff.
Uh,
But anyway, he told me you need to go across the street to see the person.
oh, wow. So he knew something was up.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Like, I wonder, like, why the people that rent out that property, though, are they just not aware that they're renting it to people that are causing problems, or do they just not
Well,
care?
it's not that easy. If you have a rental property, I went for a long time not renting to anyone when I had an extra house because
Mhm.
I got to the point where I realized the people who are willing to live there are low quality people.
Oh,
And
that's true. Yeah.
so you don't have a lot of choice if you need the money, you have to rent it out to the people who are willing to live there.
Although I thought it was a really pretty property, I was just surprised and ashamed that people who lived there were doing the things that they did. I mean,
Well, there's nothing wrong with the property, but location, 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 I guess.
That's true. I know you are in a more isolated region, so I guess I just always hope like it would be somebody that wanted to do art or like I don't know, or something like that more. But I have lofty ideals, I guess, of what I want out of life. It's not realistic.
Yeah, it's very hard to find that kind of person anywhere, really.
That's actually true. This is another reason I don't want a roommate. Like I just started talking to a friend again, but I don't think he's reliable. Like, and I'm not going to tell him that to his face because I don't know. Like, he seems like maybe he has grown up, but I just don't think he's reliable. He's like, yeah, we should like if we should post to each other and talk to each other. Like, we could be roommates. And I said, well, maybe you'll find a roommate. I don't think I want a roommate, honestly. Like, if I move, I'm not interested because roommates just aren't a good thing. I believe like you shouldn't have a roommate. I mean, if you're married to someone, that's different, but no, I don't think roommates are good news.
Yeah.
Well, because people have bad problems with them all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I'll pay a lot more of my income just to live by myself.
Right. I understand.
But I think it's actually better because I probably end up in a small claims court or something if I had a roommate. Like just the stories I hear, like, well, I already had that problem, but just that wasn't like a roommate situation. That was just me trying to be a caretaker. But
yeah,
I'm not gonna get a roommate. That's just not for me. But yeah. But people even rent houses together, and then I always hear the horror stories. I just don't understand why people.
Well, they do it because they don't want to get married to somebody they don't like,
Yeah, I guess that's it. But I'm just like, it doesn't sound good to me. So I just like, I'm kind of not interested. So I'm just gonna be like, sorry. So, oh yeah, I was going to tell you the story about this guy. Like, there's a book auction, like it's a silent one. They can't bid out loud. So, I mean, I heard people complain before, but he has a book business. He buys low and sells high. He sells them on the internet. Like, he's one of those people that's figured out like the secret to selling books online, like many, many books. He does this like for a living. That's how he makes money. So anyway, some people just want these books because they like them in the silent auction. So they'll bid. But then this is where the problem lies. He'll come at the last minute and he'll bid like $1 higher than everybody else. And he outbids like almost everybody. And he's like jumping in front of people and he's making people mad. But he doesn't care. He just laughs. Like he laughs at their face. So he's kind of bullying them a little bit. Yeah. So I told those people they need to talk to the people. But he did win, I guess. I mean, I just don't know if that's a legitimate way to win.
Well, auctions are a weird thing. I wouldn't trust myself at an auction because you get so excited.
Yeah, that's the thing. And technically, I don't know. I guess like when it comes to an auction, whoever is the last bidder is the winner. And technically, when you think about it, it's not exactly unfair. It's just the reactions that people are like, well, I just don't want to do that. And I said, well, I probably wouldn't. I don't think I would want to bid in an auction. If I wanted something, I'd probably just buy it online.
Yeah.
But just your story about the auction kind of reminded me of that, like how heated it can get, or just like how people outbid each other. And
yeah. And she had to pretend that she didn't know that was the favorite painter of her idol. She had to act like she didn't know.
Well, that's got to be more tricky. But it also, like the story you were telling me about the coffee, it kind of, I mean, I don't know if you saw 9 to 5, but it's like kind of similar story. It's different, but it just kind of did you ever see that movie
No, I've heard of it. It's with Dolly Parton, right?
It's actually pretty funny. Like I used to watch it all the time as a kid. I mean, I don't agree with the whole premise. They're like, oh my God, Hart is like sexually harassing us. But I don't really feel like, okay, now that I've gotten older and I've become wiser, I'm like, you know what? Okay, you're wearing like Dolly Parton's character, you're wearing like a low cut top to work. And he's like, oh, I dropped some pencils. Can you go pick them up, please? And she's like bending down, like, how could anybody be that? And she'll say, oh, he treats me like I'm a floozy. But I'm like, okay, but look, I'm not trying to criticize like people who dress like that or work in that environment, but you're choosing to work for this guy who, yeah, he kind of has a crush on you and he wants to cheat on his wife. Like it's pretty open ended. And then the other two people, they're just mad because he treats them like it's not fair. And they're like, but the guy got promoted above me. So some of it is just kind of like, now that I'm older, like I don't buy into the whole feminism angle as much because I feel like that's kind of just overblown in a way. Like I'm not saying people never had a hard time in the workplace, but I just feel like some of that's overblown. But there was one funny scene with the coffee where they were telling fantasies about the boss, and one of them was that like she would somehow magically poison him dressed up as Snow White. It was kind of macabre. And anyway, the next day she's making coffee for him, and there's a box of Skinny and Sweet, and then there's a box of rat poison.
Oh,
Okay. And she's not thinking, I don't know how this could happen. How could this happen? She grabs the rat poison and she puts it in the coffee.
oh, that's terrible.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. He doesn't drink the coffee, by the way. But what happens next is that she brings the coffee to him, and like something happens and he falls off the chair and he hits his head. So he has to go to the hospital. And she's like, oh my God, he's in the hospital because he drank the coffee. I didn't mean to put it in there. I meant to do Skinny and Sweet. And then they're asking her, they're like, are you sure? Like they're saying, do you think subconsciously you wanted to poison him? And it's a little different, but it just kind of reminded me of that because it's coffee in a hospital scenario.
Yeah, well, in this case, she actually did put coffee in his drink. She just didn't know he was allergic.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was some kind of health freak, and she thought it would serve him right if she got him off the health kit. But
Mhm.
she wasn't really, she had
You
no
know,
idea.
it's different. It just kind of reminded me of that, just something about the coffee in the hospital scenario.
Yeah. But then she felt really guilty about it. She didn't.
Oh, they did too. I'm not saying that this was a good storyline. It was pretty macabre because if you're thinking that you want to, like, if you're thinking something bad like that, but it is presented as a comedy, but it's pretty dark. Like, it gets worse too. And I mean, parts of it are funny, but it gets worse. So anyway, he's gonna tell everybody that she tried to poison him, and she goes, but it was a mistake. And he goes, how is it a mistake that you put rat poison in my coffee? And then one of them, who's like the more docile one, like she gets scared, so she hog ties him, and then they take him to his house and they basically put him on a security system, like, and they have him all tied up, and it gets more absurd, and they're hiding him up there for a month, and they're changing everything at the workplace. And at first, like, he's mad because he can't get untied, but then he unties himself and he pretends he's still tied up. It got weird. And then towards the end, like,
Yeah, I don't think I would like that, to tell you the truth.
you might not, but it was just kind of a funny movie at the time. Like, I mean, I don't like the darker elements of it, but there were just parts of it that were just kind of like silly, and it's absurd, and I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
understand.
like a classic, and I just watched a lot of classic movies like growing up, so it's kind of a funny movie, really. It's not like meant to be, look, it's just not meant to be taken seriously, I suppose. I'm not saying it's good, like every storyline, but
Yeah,
the
I
way
used to be very sensitive, so I don't know if you've ever seen a Mad Mad World. It's a Mad Mad World. It's a comedy.
I haven't seen it. What's it like?
Well, I saw it when I was really little, but I remember I got very upset about it. And it's one of those, I thought it was really unfair, and I took it very seriously, the bad stuff that got done
Yeah, it's okay, and that's good that you did. I mean, I totally understand. I mean,
but it
so
was
you
just comedy. Everybody else said, hey, that it's just a comedy.
well, I'm not saying I agree with everything that's dark. I'm just saying I have seen some shows, and I'm like, later on I can say, well, that was actually kind of dark. And I will say as a kid, the one thing, the coffee scene did kind of bother me because I'm like, how could you pretend to like, oh, it's a mistake? Like, that's not a mistake. Like,
Yeah.
that part's not kind of creepy. Like, but
Yeah,
you know,
I just don't like scenes in which people are, intentionally poisoning somebody. I just
yeah,
don't
it's
like.
pretty. I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but I mean, I don't know. So I would say, yeah, don't watch it. Probably it's not. If you feel like it would upset you, don't ever see it. I don't even really watch that much. I'm watching Magnificent Century, but I'm going to be honest with you. Even Magnificent Century, I still like the scenes, like a lot of the scenes and the music. But the parts of the harem that really bother me that aren't even based on historical fact is that the women are always trying to poison each other, and that's another thing that keeps coming up. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I don't like that either.
but why does this topic come up so much in different shows? I'm just like, it's kind of creepy.
It is. Yeah, I mean, we don't all have to like each other, but poisoning people, that's a bit.
But here's another problem too. That's not even how things were in the harem, but they made it seem like, oh, Suleiman had lots of like, well, he may have, like, I'm sure he was the sultan. He may have still had like women on the side, but they make it seem like he kept the harem going. And I actually read the history that he closed, like when he married harem, like he did the unprecedented thing that he closed down his own harem. Like later sultans did have a harem, but he actually closed his down and he married all the women off to different pashas, which are considered like advisors in the Ottoman system. And that, he was faithful to harem. I'm not saying he never had a mistress. Maybe he had a mistress, but they make it seem like, oh yeah, like harem would do something and his sister would get this mistress. Like, that's all fictionalized. The parts I actually like more are like a lot of the politics, which is actually based on the written record. Like when the European envoy comes and Abraham Pasha is pretending like he has the power, as much power, if not more than the Sultan. The Sultan's not there, and he's like, I have all the power. He gave me the power. And it's funny because at first you think Suleiman is not aware of these things, but like later on he's becoming much more aware. He's just like biding his time. And actually what happens in history is Abraham Pasha was so power thirsty. Like, I think what he was trying to do, and they pretty much substantiated it. He was grooming Suleiman's son Mustafa to like overthrow Suleiman, but Harem knew about it and she told Harem. So they actually, it's kind of, I don't know how other leaders do it, but what he did was he invited Abraham Pasha to dinner one night and acted like everything was okay. And then later in his sleep, like he had him strangled because he knew he was a political threat. And that's how he got rid of him. And he did the same thing to his son.
Wow.
I mean, but they were going to overthrow him. So I guess, I'm not saying I agree with what they did, but
yeah,
it was all about politics, right?
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth I had her cousin, Mary Queen of Scots, beheaded. So
yeah, they did that too. It's a similar era too. It's the 1500s. So people just did that back then. But I get kind of squeamish in those scenes. I hate those scenes where somebody's like beheaded or string, and I don't like thinking about it. It makes me feel kind of like those kind of scenes. I feel very squeamish about.
Yeah, I don't like them.
You don't like which one?
I don't like those scenes either. I agreed with you.
Yeah. So I'm still like, okay, it's a very fictionalized story, but I still want to finish it just to see like what they do with it. But I've decided that I don't find it to be the actual history. But people are really mad. They're like, but they are defaming these characters and they are ruining their reputations. And I'm like, well, it is fiction, right? So I try not to, I try to just see it as like a fictionalized account of, and that's what it says at the very beginning of every show. It says, this is a fictionalized account of this historical events. But people are getting so mad in the comments. They're like, that didn't really happen. Well, that's looking really good, Aya.
Thank you. I think that's about as far as I can get with this one. So would you like to see both of them?
I would, yeah.
So this is my parents, and it's really hard to see them. Can you see them?
I see him.
Okay. This is my parents and this is me when I was 6.
Oh, I like it.
Okay. So,
Well, at
um,
least now you have a couple more paintings. And are you going to do a speed painting of these later?
I doubt it. They're so small that it just doesn't seem like it would show up much.
I understand. Do you have anything planned that you want to speed paint in the future? Like, are you thinking about things that you would like to paint coming up?
I really haven't decided yet. I'm thinking of maybe doing a larger picture of my parents that where you can actually see what they look like.
I wish you would, actually. I think it would turn out really well.
So I can look at this as a practice for the other.
That's actually a really good idea because somebody said if you do a miniature and then you
Uh-huh.
do the bigger one, it gives you the idea about what you want to do next time.
Right. So that's what I'm thinking of maybe
Okay.
doing. Is there anything that you want to tell people before we sign off about your future project?
No, right now I was gonna do something Halloween, but I just need to finish this first, and I keep adding paint to it, and I'm just not super happy with where it's going at the moment, so I'm gonna have to keep working on it. That's about all I can tell you
Oh,
right now.
if you want to, I put my glasses back on.
So basically, I'm just trying to even things out again. That's all. And just I keep going back and forth. That's all I'm doing.
Well, it looks very nice.
I mean,
Yeah, I look forward to seeing more of it.
yeah, I wish I would have done more, but like I said, when I added some paint, then it kind of throws the color off, and then I have to redo it. So that's all. But hopefully, I get
Yeah,
there soon.
yeah. So this Friday on my other channel, we'll be talking about The Rational Life because I finished watching that.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Is there anything else you'd like to promote?
Right now, no. I've just been doing some live streams on my channel. I don't have a schedule. Like some people are making a schedule, but I just don't want to do anything like that's concrete at the moment. I'm gonna keep working on the cat painting, and that's about it. I do have another video I'm gonna do on my hair channel, but it's supposed to be me doing chores because people ask me for that. It's not really something like that I'm super excited about. But yeah, at
And
the moment, I'm just doing YouTube in a more relaxed kind of way, I think, because I got really burned out on. Okay, what has been happening again is like people are still telling me a month later that my hair is short now. And I made a whole video because I didn't even have to, right? Just trying to explain like why I cut my hair, but nobody really watched it. So now all these people keep like coming back to my channel telling me, why is your hair short now? Although I didn't think my hair was short, it's just not as long as it was. And
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
so with that channel, I mean, it's just hair and I'll do things occasionally. With this art channel and just like lifestyle, I consider like a lifestyle channel really. I'm gonna do, more painting, and I've just been doing kind of some talking live streams when I have time, and I haven't really had any concrete plans with it at the moment or anything that I can tell you that's specifically coming up. I've rearranged the art around my house. I've done that on my time off when I have time off. And yeah, I'm just recuperating from the week basically because I feel really drained today.
Okay, well, thank you for keeping me company while I was painting those miniatures.
Uh-huh.
And I hope you have a very good week. And I will definitely see you on Friday when we talk about The Rational Life on my other channel.
Great. Bye, Aya.
Bye, Julia.